Healing Ministries, and he will come to us at this time with God's method of healing. So, Brother Terence Taylor, come to the front and speak to God's people encouragingly. Thanks.
Brother Burke, good morning.
Yes.
There is a switch. I am going to be presenting before him. I will be doing the physiology of digestion instead of Brother Taylor.
Okay, so with us is Dr. Joan Lamle, who will be doing for us the physiology of digestion. Doc, it is your time to teach God's people. Go ahead.
Amen and amen. Let us pray. Our loving Father in heaven, we thank you for your blessings through the night of keeping us, giving us good rest and waking us to see a new day, a day of our fasting and prayer and learning and coming back to the feet of the cross where we will meet you once again. I thank you for each person who is present here this morning. May your Holy Spirit work on our hearts that we will be closer drawn to you. Teach us thy way, O Lord, and help us to walk in your truth. And as we learn more about your goodness and your grace, as we continue, Lord, to explore your words, open our dark understanding, and let us hold on to your words, hide them within us, keep them close to our bosom, that we do not sin against you. We ask that you stabilize our devices as we go through. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. All right. Good morning, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. And we are sharing with you aspects, or we will be sharing with you aspects of what would have been done in our medical missionary training. I trust that everyone here who has not been trained as medical missionary has signed up. And if you have not signed up for the medical missionary training, then this is a good opportunity for you to do it. You can put your name and your number in the chat and we will help you from there. All right. So this is a very good time. I think my thing is giving me a problem right here for you to do so. All right, so Brother Burke.
Help me again with that one, sis, please. Thanks.
You're seeing my screen, right?
Yes, we are seeing it.
In full,
yes,
in full mode? All right.
Yes.
Okay. All right, so I'm doing the physiology of digestion. All right, we are going to be exploring this aspect of our health. And if you look at the caption, so I'm looking at two of the captions that we have. The first part is health for the crisis. And brethren, even if we were blind, we could see that there is a crisis that is coming upon us. Because we would have been listening, and with our spiritual eyes, we could see that there's a crisis coming on upon this land, and it's going to affect everyone. Some of us, when we're in Christ, we will be protected from the onslaught of what is happening, but the effect of it will be around us. All right? So that's it, the health for the crisis. But we get a little deeper now, and we are looking at the fact that health is spiritual. So the Lord wants us to have health so that we can face the crisis, but we need also to understand that it is a practical application. Health is practical to our Christianity, to our spiritual life, to our relationship with God. It is practical. We cannot dissect it. We can't put health over one side and our spiritual life on the other side. All right, so it's very important for us to get that. And as we continue to do the medical missionary training, we recognize it's amazing that we have been doing training for so many years. And yet, every time that I do it, I have to pause to thank God for his grace and his mercy. And there's some, even a word, a line, a sentence that came back and I said, I never realized that. And I am the one who is always doing certain things. But the Lord keep opening things to us, giving us new light as we go along. And that's what we always say. Even if you have done it before, redo it. You have nothing to lose and very, very much to gain. Because knowledge is progressive. We are always in a learning mode. And the Lord wants us to be equipped for the crisis that is coming on us. So put your name and number if you have not yet done the training. And let us help you, because this is life transforming. All right. And you will find that the information given will help you in your life and in your ministry to others. This morning I looked at a reading that was taken from Christian Temperance, and I want to read something for you even before I get into this presentation. So it's Christian Temperance and Bible Hygiene, and it's under the caption, chapter 4, relation of diet and health, relation of diet to health and morals. It's a wonderful chapter, and I would encourage us to read through it. It says that we find it, even in the religious world, God's express commands are transgressed. And before that, it was talking about how Adam and Eve had transgressed the laws of God that was given, the very specific command that they should not eat where he did not allow them to. All right. They were not hungry, enough was given for them, but because of indulgence, they had eaten. So on that background, it says, thus we often find it, even in the religious world, God's express commands are transgressed. And because sentence against an evil work is not executed speedily, therefore, the heart of the Son of Man is fully set in them to do the evil. That's Ecclesiastes 8, verse 11. Now, when you look at it, if you should look deeply into that, you can see how applicable it is to us. Sometimes when you tell a person, well, don't eat and drink at the same time, or don't take certain kind of food. You hear, but I've been doing this all these years and nothing has happened to me. Nothing has happened to me. So my grandmother, and she's now 90. So I don't see anything wrong with it. Okay, so we look some form of excuse, or we attach the requirement to something else and use it as a guide, just like Adam and Eve, or Eve to be more specific, attach what the serpent was doing to what she was seeing. And there was nothing to show otherwise. When she tasted, she did not see as a matter of fact, the word said that she felt even better, exhilarated, and feel like, new course of life came through her. And she thought she had benefited. She went, the husband looked, he saw, looked like there was nothing going on. Chances are it might be true. And I know we can relate. I know we can relate with circumstances that happen to us. It says, since the first surrender to appetite, mankind have been growing more and more self-indulgent until health has been sacrificed at the altar of appetite. We have been going more and more deeper into the forbidden And the more we become indulgent, you know, something is not good for you, but you say, I'll just take a little. I'll just take a little. We know it's not good for us, but taking a little is not so bad, is it? One bite out of an apple plunged us into sin. The inhabitants of the antediluvian world were intemperate in eating and drinking. They would have flesh meats, although God had at that time given man no permission to eat animal food. They ate and drank till the indulgence of their depraved appetite knew no bounds, and they became so corrupt that God could bear with them no longer. Their cup of iniquity was full, and he cleansed the earth of its moral pollution by a flood. Health is spiritual. When man move away from maintaining the health that God has prescribed for him, you are literally stepping away from God. When we violate that which God has put in our being, and brethren, just as he said that he'll write the laws, the moral laws on the heart of men, he has also put the laws of health in our beings. We don't believe that? Look at, let me put a simple one, wound healing. If you get a cut, if something should hurt you, you get a cut, the body automatically sets itself into motion to heal you. It is in your being. God has set it that way. He wants the body to have water. And he set it that in case the water supply is going too low, you will begin to feel it. You get thirsty. Said, listen, the body says to you, I'm dying. I need some water here. Give it to me. If you try to kill yourself by stopping your breath, the body would rather burst the lung and ensure that you breathe again. It will take over automatically so that you don't die that way. So the laws of life, the 8 laws of health, they are embedded in us. It's just that we keep violating them, everyone. And through the medical missionary work, we look at them, we explore these and show you that if you should look at the sicknesses and diseases that are bothering you now, you will find that it is because of violation of 1, 2, or more of these laws. And when we start correcting them, you will see that healing start taking place. Brethren, it is amazing, amazing. We have seen, this week, I said to nurse, you have to take these testimonies, because there were three persons who came and they were so on top of the world. They were so happy with the healing that was taking place in their bodies. They could not believe that all this suffering that they had been through, and in such a short time, as they started responding to the laws of health, they were feeling better. It was just amazing. And you know what happened? And that's why we are told that it is your duty towards man and yourself to take care of yourself. All right, let me read something for you, and then I'll tell you why I say that. Only one lease of life is granted us, and the inquiry with everyone should be, how can I invest my powers so that they may yield the greatest profit? How can I do most for the glory of God and the benefit of fellow men? For life is valuable only as it is used for the attainment of these ends. What ends are we talking about? The glory of God and the benefit of our fellow men. And I say this because when the persons came and they were rejoicing so much, it affects others around. You know, Julian was laughing. I'd be so happy to see another person happy. Others around, there is like a new energy was given to them. Now, mark you, it is the person who got the healing. They were the one rejoicing. But guess what? It became contagious. Because those around who have seen what had happened, they too were enjoying it. So And guess what? It gives you a praise mode. Health is spiritual. It puts all of those who are here into a moment of praise, giving God thanks for what he has done right there in front of our eyes. So God wants us to recognize that healing is of God. It is from him that we get life, the life force that emanate through him to us. And there's a direct connection to your creator. And with every violation that we make, we suffer for it. So let me read the other section of this, and then we will get into a presentation. It says the gratification of unnatural appetite led to the sins that caused the destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah. God ascribed the fall of Babylon to our gluttony and drunkenness. Indulgence of appetite and passion was the foundation of all their sins. When the God of Israel brought his people out of Egypt, he withheld flesh meats from them in a great measure, but gave them bread from heaven and water from the flinty rock. With this, they were not satisfied. They loathed the food given them and wished themselves back in Egypt, where they could sit by the flesh pots. They preferred, and listen to this, brethren. No, you will see that health is really a spiritual thing, because the mind is gone. Listen to what happened. Look if this isn't the utterance of deranged minds. They preferred to endure slavery and even death rather than to be deprived of flesh. Is that sinking in a while? God granted their desire. We serve a God of love, and I guess sometimes parents, when we see these children and they're crying and crying, and they just, all right, take this. God he didn't create robots. He gave men choices, and because this is what they chose, then he gave into what they wanted, not because he wanted to punish them, but because they crave this, and they could not even think, they could not worship him. They could not have a relationship with him because they thought that he was being cruel to them. So he gave in. So God granted their desire, giving them flesh and leaving them to eat till their gluttony produced a plague from which many of them died. I tell you, brethren, this thing called appetite, he said, crime and disease have increased with every succeeding generation. I trust that you'll find that book and that you'll get into it. Crime and disease have increased with every succeeding generation. Intemperance in eating and drinking, and the indulgence of the baser passion, because where eating and drinking is violated, then the baser passion is also going to be affected. All right? So don't believe you just eat and drink. Oh, I take a little ice cream. Oh, I take a little this, and you are okay. I'm good. I just go this far. No, it has elicited something deeper inside. It is leading you into a gratification of that which is not godly, and it will spill over into other areas. It says that crime and disease have increased with every succeeding generation. Intemperance in eating and drinking and the indulgence of the baser passion have benumbed the nobler faculties of man. Reason, instead of being the ruler, has come to be the slave of appetite to an alarming extent. No, because I have done the mind already. I would ask one of my bright students, I'll give you that opportunity to answer. when it says an increase, reason instead of being the ruler has become the slave of appetite to an alarming extent. Which part start ruling at that moment? And what was it ruling over? Anybody think they can tell me based on what we have studied before? Anybody, you can just open your mic and tell. What has taken over? Which part of the brain has now taken over? And which area did it take over?
The frontal lobe.
Well, you can't answer it like that. You're partially right, but what happened with the frontal lobe? What took over where?
The limbic took over the frontal lobe.
Thank you very much. You got an A. Yes. So the limbic system. So here what he said. Reason, instead of being the ruler, and your reason would be coming from where?
The frontal lobe.
From the frontal lobe. It has now become the slave of appetite, which is the limbic system that given to the emotions and the taste and all of that, right? An increasing desire for rich food has been indulged until it has become the fashion to crowd all the delicacies possible into the stomach. So that's why I'm looking at physiology of digestion. If you can understand this, I think it will help us to be a little more careful with how we treat our stomach. Because believe me, there is no quote unquote good health without good bowel health. If the digestion is not working well, then everything else is going to fall apart. Especially at parties of pleasure is the appetite indulged with but little restraint. Rich dinners and late suppers. Last night at a church that I stopped by for a few moments, they were having a treat for the mothers. They were having a Mother's Day treat. Well, I should say Mother's Night because it was last night. And after 9, when I was leaving there, when I finished what I was doing and leaving, the mothers were not yet fed. After 9. So the late suppers are served consisting of highly seasoned meat, yes, and rich sauces, yes, right there. Cakes, it was right there. Pies, ices, because they were getting the juices. They got some tea also, and they got some soup, etc. All of this in the night. No wonder that with such a diet, people have sallow complexions and suffer untold agonies with dyspepsia. So this morning, imagine what is going on in the stomach. Imagine what will be happening to those mothers that were fetid last night. I tell you, brethren, we are not understanding the crisis that is coming upon us or that is upon us, and we continue as children of God to debase ourselves, and then we go, I don't know if we even know that we sin. I don't know. Because I know in the night you're going to go home and say, Lord, thank you for a wonderful day. Thank you for that lovely party. And, bless me as I go to sleep, and we go sleep and we lie down and we are okay. So I don't know if we come to the realization of what we have done. But may the Lord have mercy upon our souls. So let us get into this aspect, and you will see the relevance of the preamble that I have done. Okay. All right, let's go. In Psalm 139, verse 14, the word of God said, I will praise thee, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Marvelous are thy works, and that my soul knoweth right well. So closely is health related to our happiness that we cannot have the latter without the former. A practical knowledge of the science of human life is necessary in order to glorify God in our bodies. It is therefore of the highest importance that among the studies selected for childhood, physiology should occupy the first place. Start teaching the children. Start teaching them what happened inside of their body. When we eat, when we drink, when everything that we do, we need to teach how it's affecting us. All right, so it is the study of the body, the human mechanism, the human machinery, the human organism. We need to be teaching our children, the young people. The Bible said that knowledge is easy to him who understands. So if we teach them and they can understand, they will see the relevance of taking care. How few know anything about the structure and functions of their own bodies and of nature's laws. Many are drifting about without knowledge, like a ship at sea without compass or anchor. And what is more, they are not interested to learn how to keep their bodies in a healthy condition and prevent disease. That's a very serious indictment on us. Many are not interested. Sometimes when you start talking about it, oh, is that we're talking about again? Oh, why did and you know, we disdain the whole aspect of learning about ourselves, learning about your body, and then we get sick. And when we get sick, we expect now that God is just going to lift the sickness just like that, without us having to make any change. We have to look at two things. We have to maintain health and prevent disease. All right? We have to. Sometimes we have done things in ignorance, and we come to our God and we repent and we ask him, what must I do to be saved? And he will not leave you without an answer. He will show you. He will bring you to programs like this that show you what you need to do so that you can get better. Because the presentations that are being done today are those to help us, to show us that health is spiritual. To show us that health is spiritual. Take note, brethren. See what you are doing, what violation you are actually involved in right now, that you need to say, listen, note to self, I have to stop doing this. Let us get into it. Studied that marvelous organism, the human system, and the laws by which it is governed. And this is taken from the book that I was reading from, Christian Temperance and Bible Hygiene. All right? When you look at digestion, you want to look at all the organs that are involved. All right? All the organs that are involved in the digestive process. And as you can see, let me put it this way. Digestion takes up most of the energy that the body has. So when you're digesting, when food is being digested, after a time you get tired. The body is tired. That's why the body say, you'll hear two things taking place in your body. Fight or flight, or rest and digest. Because the body needs to be at rest when it is digesting food. Because look at the amount of organs that are involved in you digesting some food. You should not be doing anything else when you're eating. No argument, no hurry, don't be hurried. All right? Don't be distracted. Okay? It takes concentration, and it takes a lightness and a feeling of euphoria when you're eating, because you're actually doing a work that is using up a lot of energy. And that's why you see this bad term that is called niggeritis. It's not a good thing. All right? But it has been used because you see that because back then they noticed that when the slaves ate, that they would want to sleep after that because they don't have much time to eat and they have to be packing all of these food in the system, and after that they become very drowsy and lousy. Okay, so it came out of that. But a lot of organs are involved. And if we are eating and doing something at the same time, it is distracting to the system and should not be indulged. And guess what? It's going to affect your digestive juice. You're going to access the signals in your brain. It's going to affect all the organs that should have been involved because you are directing the attention elsewhere and not being very deliberate in your meal time. All right, so let's get into the human system. What is digestion? Digestion is the process of breaking down the food you consume into molecules that can be absorbed into or pass through the body. The body uses these broken down molecules to make new cells and provide energy. Our bodies are constructed from what we eat. Now, this you need to bear in mind. Your body is constructed from what you're putting in your mouth. If you put junk food, then you're going to have a junk body. It's going to be a trashed body because you did not put in good food. All right. If you tend to use the man-made food, the processed food more, then you're going to have a processed body, not a natural body, not a body that responds to the things of God. All right. So if you eat from the natural, then the body can take from it all the natural substance that it needs, and it can make good quality tissues and organs and cells, and you are refreshed like Daniel and his companions. In order to make tissues of good quality, we must have the right kind of food, and it must be prepared with such skill. Come on now, with skill. Don't throw things in the pot and just turn around and eat them. It must be well prepared with such skill as will best adapt it to the wants of the system. There is a quote that I have read in the book, Counsel on Diet and Food. It says, on the grave of many should be written, died of poor cookery. All right? On the grave of many should have been written, died of poor cookery, because sometimes we don't know how to cook. We think we know, we are used to the world's cooking where we put a lot of spices and seasoning and they come out and it tastes in all of this, the spiciness, and they say, oh, I'm a good cook. But get something where you have to take away these things from it and then go cook. And then you're going to hear, it doesn't taste all that good because we have not acquired the skills that are needed to prepare good food. It is a religious duty for those who cook to learn how to prepare healthful food in a variety of ways so that it may be both. And I always love these two words. It must be palatable and it must be healthy. Sometimes in our desire to make the food palatable, mean eatable and taste good, we sacrifice health. And sometimes with our push for the food being healthy, we forget about it being palatable, and someone tastes the food and it doesn't taste good. And my staff will tell you, I have a problem with food that is not tasty. Yeah, God said it must be palatable, it must taste good, and it must be healthful. So we have to take time to prepare it so that it can taste good. In Psalm 103, verse 5, the Lord said that He satisfies our mouth with good things so that our health can be renewed. So if the mouth is not palatable, then the taste bud is going to have a serious problem. All right? So it is our religious duty to ensure that we are cooking good food. Poor cookery is wearing away the life energies of thousands. All right? More souls are lost from this cause than many realize. It deranges the system and produces diseases. All right. So disease is really dis-ease, right? It's two words right there, and what it does, it prevents the body from being at ease with the things that it has. It put it in a state of confusion, in a state of overworked, being overworked because it has to try to get rid of some of these conditions that are there. All right. So the body is no longer comfortable. It is overworked now. In the conditions thus induced, heavenly things. Now, here where we are now with our healthy spiritual, in this condition of disease, all right, this dis-ease that the body is in, you're not at ease, you can't think well, you can't concentrate on spiritual sense. He says in this condition, heavenly things cannot be readily discerned. The frontal lobe is affected, and we have to now concentrate and getting better instead of concentrate and being in that mode of heavenly bliss. And sometimes it is because of our doing. Digestion is crucial to the state of your health. All right. So here's your digestive tract. All right. This is it, starting from where there. As a matter of fact, this is a gastrointestinal tract. So digestion itself, you'll see from the graph before, show that it starts in the mouth. But as you can see, this is a simplified diagram that shows you where the food will come down through your esophagus. There it is in your stomach. All right, your the duodenum, where it change the pH balance there, so that if it was an acidic acidic meal that you have, especially like if it is a meat diet, because that's very acidic to the system, I'll show you more as we go along, then in the duodenum, then it will change from that into a more alkaline area, so that it doesn't burn out the rest of your small intestine. All right, so that's a simplified diagram. The digestive tract, also known as the gastrointestinal tract, starts at the mouth, continues to the esophagus, stomach, small intestine, large intestine, which is commonly referred to as the colon, and rectum, and ends at the anus. The entire system from mouth to anus is about 30 feet long. Can you imagine your poor little body having over 30 feet in it? Yeah, it seems so impossible, but what a mighty God we serve. And you know something that's interesting, brethren, is that as this is going on, there are chemicals that are being released at different areas of your body. You are one walking blob of chemicals, you know. Everything that happened to you in this life, there's a chemical reaction going on. So the chemicals that would have been in your mouth, all right, they would have been different when they come down to your stomach. They would have been different in your duodenum, in your small intestine. They're all different chemicals working and digesting this meal. And the end result is that it wants to nourish your body. Ask yourself the question though. Are the food that you're taking in, the different foods that you're taking in, are they nourishing to your system? Are they things that the body can recognize? Sometimes we put some things in our bodies that just the name alone, we can't even call the name. We are saying it, and we have to be breaking it down and can't come up with a right name for it. Not sure if we are pronouncing it right. Yet we send it into our bodies and expect the wonderful, well-made, beautiful system that God has given us to interpret that name for us. It's not going to happen, brethren. God did not design the body this way. Simplicity is where it's at. Digestion begins in the mouth. Chewing starts with 5 digestive fluids. All right, so digestion starts in the mouth. You have your saliva, you have gastric juice, bile, pancreatic juice, and intestinal juices. All right. So once you start chewing, then things start happening. It's not just in your mouth, things are happening. Things start happening in all the other areas of your body. So the saliva start looking, oh, what she has in there is something that has a lot of fat. All right, signal going out, bing, bing, bing in the brain. Listen, it is a fat meal that is coming. So therefore, bile, you need to come into action. Pancreas, you need to get ready. Oh, she's eating a lot of cakes and bread and all. Oh, you need to ensure, pancreas, that the system is ready to take this. And the communication is going on. You're eating, not even aware of the great communication that is taking place to ensure that digestion is complete and that the nutrients that's in the meal can be gathered to go and feed the cells. That's why you don't want to be distracted. That's why you should not be distracted when you're eating, because here the body is concentrating on what it's doing and you are now diverting its attention elsewhere. All right? Very interesting. So chewing begins in the mouth. It is important for where our teeth are concerned, brethren. All right? We need to ensure that God gave us 32 teeth, and I'm sure he did not give us spare ones. Sometimes we say that the wisdom teeth, they really don't serve any purpose and all of that. They do. God placed them there. They give us problems, so we take them out. But it is not because they are not useful. As a matter of fact, they are the sustainer of the mandible, the jawbone area. They are. That's what God put in. They are the anchor, right, for your jaw. And they are excellent in helping with the chewing process, especially for those things that are very hard. So God set them there for a reason. There's no spare part in the human body. All right? If God didn't even leave spares when it came to the food, he took up the crumbs. How much less on the human body? He doesn't believe in spare parts. Okay? The peristaltic wave, which moves the food along the digestive tract, also begin to move. All right, so once it is start, action start. The saliva softens the food and transforms some of the starches into sugar. The longer the food is chewed, the more completely the starch is digested, and the larger the amount of gastric juice produced in the stomach in readiness to digest the food when it arrives. Now, let me break this down to us. And brethren, I don't want to be doing just talking to. If there's something that you want to say or something you want to understand, it is okay. You can raise your hand and I can take it, because I like when persons understand. I like to know that what I'm saying can resonate with someone and that they can be carried along and you don't get lost along the way. All right. So if there's something you want to know, just raise your hand. Brother Burke will take it and we can answer your question or your comment. That's fine with me. All right. Let me go back with this sentence. The longer the food is chewed, the more completely the starch is digested, and the larger the amount of gastric juice produced in the stomach in readiness to digest the food when it arrives. My mother would call it, said, listen, you must not cut and swallow. That was always her thing. Don't cut and swallow. Right? So she want us to sit there and patiently have our meals. We should not eat in a hurry. We are doing ourselves an injustice. As a matter of fact, in the same book, Constant Diet and Food, they say if you have to eat in a hurry, skip the meal. Skip the meal. You are in a better position, because guess what? If you should be taking a lot of undigested food into your system, it leads to disease, because your stomach does not have any teeth, neither do your intestine. So if the food was not broken down at the beginning, it cannot be broken down again because the particles are too large for the system to handle. Have you ever wondered why you can swallow a seed? maybe guinea seed or even like your seeds that you have, the normal seeds like your pumpkin seed or sunflower seed, you can swallow them and you'll find them in the toilet. It will come out. Why? Because if you didn't chew it and there's no stomach, there's no teeth in your stomach to break it down for you. So if it's not something soft that can be easily broken down, then it will come back out, and the nutrients that you should get, you will miss that one. So the longer you chew the food, remember, it is your gastric juice that's going to be breaking down these now, breaking down these food. And when it reads what is taking place in the mouth, it will now have an idea what it is supposed to be doing. And remember, gastric juice does not come on demand. It doesn't come on demand. It's not something that just open a floodgate and it just pushed all of it inside of you. No, it doesn't happen like that. What it does is that it secretes, and God, whatever God does, is timely. It's timely, so it will take its time and secrete, but it will give, you will have enough time for the digestion to take place. What is important also during this time is that you have a meal time. This is very crucial right here, brethren. It is good for you to have a meal time right here, because it is only at that time that the gastric juice in the stomach will start to seep into your stomach. All right, that's the only time it's going to start, when it is a meal time. But when you don't have a set meal time, then there is no set pattern that your body can follow. I remember when I was doing my first degree, I majored in psychology, and then I moved on to health psychology. But I remember an experiment that was taught to us about Pavlov and his dog. Whenever he's going to feed that dog, then the dog would be happy and start salivating and, excited to see Pavlov. And over time, he noticed something that was happening. Even though he was not coming to the dog, but the time was set, the same action was taking place in the dog. He started salivating and everything, ready for a meal because it was a set time. And what they found out with that further study is that that's how the body works. God is a God of time. He had set mechanism in process that should respond to time. And we are the one who keep going out of time with everything that we do. He said he gave us 12 hours in which to work, and 12 hours is the night when the body ought to move into another mode. All right? You must set your time. This is my meal time. This is my worship time. This is my exercise time. Set time. And if you operate within that, you will, most of the dis-ease that the body has can make itself right. I notice that we have and Brother Truth.
Yes, there is. Veronica Jones, you can go ahead.
Okay, thank you for accepting me. When we're talking about the gastric juice and the way that we eat, there's a question I want to ask, which was asked in my family service yesterday. Now, one of the question is that if you have vegetables and you have an avocado, you cut the avocado up in the vegetables, because you have the gastric juice that breaking down the food, what is wrong with you putting avocado with your vegetable to eat it?
All right.
Yeah.
So you'd go back now to the book Counsel and Diet and Food. You'd look at what constitute fruits and what constitute vegetables. All right. And you will see the advice, the counsel given to us that fruits and vegetables should not be combined in the same meal. All right. Avocado is a beautiful, nice fat, but it is also a fruit. And the time that are used for fruits tend to be quicker than the time that are used for the digestion of vegetables. Also, the enzymes that are used for the digestion of vegetables are different from the enzymes that are used to digest fruits. All right. So it is good for us to follow the injunction that's given by God. All right.
Doc, you
Thank
didn't
you.
you forgot to mention that if your mealtime is missed, what you should do, if you should go ahead and eat.
Okay, yes, that is true. So if we miss our mealtime, Virgin, leave the body alone. You know, your body will be even grateful for the time of fasting. All right, so you can leave the body, don't miss that meal, and wait for the other one. And don't think they are going to die. You're not going to die. You're going to live and live even better, because the digestive system would have gotten a beautiful time to rest, all right, and prepare itself for the next meal. If you eat, and that is in constant diet and food, I think we will look at some of those. If you eat, all right, outside within 20 minutes of your mealtime being passed, if you have a mealtime, then the digestive juices will go and rest itself again. It will just go back to where, and your stomach will be fine again. All right. But if you put food within an hour or so, you say, well, I didn't eat on time, so let me eat now. The body cannot produce the gases or the gastric juices that are needed at that time for the digestion of the meal. All right. So don't think you're doing it yourself. We're only doing it for the belly full, really, but not because of the need of the body, because your body can actually do without it. And when we keep putting a burden of food on the stomach is unable to deal with it if we are not regulating the time we eat. As a matter of fact, there's a quote that I read in that same book. It says, this too little attention is given to the stomach. The stomach should have as much attention as the rest of the system. Give this much use and abuse organ some peace, some quiet, and some rest. All right? Some peace, some quiet, and some rest. Take care of your stomach. So miss a meal. It will do you a world of good. Then you'll get more time to drink more water. Proper chewing and tasting of the food permits the nerves of taste. Come on, listen, let's look at this one. Proper chewing and tasting of the food permits the nerves of taste to judge the quality of the food and to regulate the intake to suit the needs of the body.
Can we facilitate Sister Annette at this time, please?
Give me a few minutes. Yeah, I'm coming. This is really important for us to know. All right? God has blessed us as his children with the ability to function in a very meticulous way. So when you're chewing and tasting the food, this will now permit the nerves of taste to judge the quality, you know. And when it knows the quality of what you're taking, the brain is going to say, call to the other areas of digestion to tell them what to do. Because I tell you something, Virgin, if we are left to ourselves with the way we are eating, sometimes we just drop dead same time. Look at in the word of God. We see the children of Israel, they drop dead because the body didn't have time to regulate itself. We notice Nabal. We saw, who else can we take from the Bible, Brother Berg? We have even Belshazzar. We have the children of Israel who were partying. There's no time. And because we keep loading the system, then we can easily keel over and die because the body does not have time to communicate and tell the organs what to do. Proper chewing also helps to preserve the teeth by giving them the exercise they need. All right? So take the time. God gave them to us for a reason. Okay? Let me take those questions before I move on to the next. Or should I let, hold on, Brother Berg. It says the benefit derived from food does not depend so much on the quantity. All right, I want to put this in before I take the question. The benefit derived from food does not depend so much on the quantity eaten as on its thorough digestion. This is one I like to do, bowel health. And this is one of the things that I keep trying desperately to communicate to persons. It's not the amount of food that you eat, is whether or not the food that you have eaten can be digested by the body. Nor the gratification of taste so much on the amount of food swallows as on the length of time it remains in the mouth, which is the beginning of digestion. All right, and that's Constant Diet on Food 107. We are going to be doing that book, one of them, in our series of Prayer Mountain. Important for us to get these things. God has brought us here, brethren, and I believe with all my heart, He had taken us together so that we can be a different set of people. You must come to Prayer Mountain, and after you're here for 3 months, we don't need no longer. 3 months is when the body and the liver is going to renew itself anyway. After being on this line for 3 months, you must have pep in your step, clearer vision. You're to have better skin. Bowel health is you're supposed to walk better. So many, I have high hopes. Maybe we have not heard the things before, but can we then start right here? Many of you have signed up for the training, I know. And in the training, things are broken down so that you can see. And as you see, make the necessary adjustment so that you can be blessed of God and you can renew your health. Because the Lord said, that's what He said, He said, renew. It's a renewal process. As a matter of fact, your body is literally on a renewal pursuit on a daily basis. And it measures itself like in a month. And by 3 months, it does its own assessment to see if it has all the organs are renewed. And then it moves from the month, so it do for days, what it will do in a week. In a daily basis, the skin cells are renewed, shedding of the cells. By a month, it's looking at your liver. And guess what? By 3 months, the organs themselves would have shed the dead one. Do you know, but by 7 years, you are a new brand creature. There's no original cell that would have remained in your system. What they are built with is up to you. And another thing, I didn't mention the week. Do you know that the body records the nutrients that it has on a weekly basis to tell whether or not you're deprived of any nutrients? 7 days. I love the human body. I love God. I love Jesus. I love His precision. I love His great care. I love how he just put that little dot on top of the I. And I like how He just put that cross across the T. Everything is precise, meticulously done, brethren. I cannot do health and not praise my God, because all I can see is this wonderful love that our mighty Savior have for us. I pause, Brother Burke. I pause.
Okay, so we will take Sister Delrose, Sister Annette, and then Sister Delrose. Go ahead.
Yeah, good morning, everyone. I have a 3-year-old autistic child that I'm looking after, and she seems to have a dislike for food and water especially. So the only thing she opens, excuse me, her mouth willingly to take is watermelon and pawpaw. Everything else is a battle. So as you're talking about digestion there now, I'm wondering how that will affect her her digestion, and if when we get her to eat the food, if it's really doing if it's any benefit to her body, because she is screaming and everything that goes before taking it. Thank you.
Okay. How old did you say the child was?
3 years. She turned 3 in January.
Okay. One of the things about autistic children is that they do textures. Texture plays a big role in their eating. All right, how things feel. And then it means, therefore, you have to take the time to study the feel of the food that they will take. What is it about papaya? What is it about the the watermelon, that they like the texture of those, and see what else come into that category. And also the color. Autistic children look at colors. All right. So I know parents would be worried that they are not getting enough nutrients and all of that, but look at what the food that comes. So where watermelon goes, cantaloupes tend to follow. All right. It is a little harder than the papaya, which would pose a problem, but that is if it's not well ripe. And also, how is it cut? Has to be thin. But I like to look at disease instead of that is just a band-aid part. I recognize something with autistic children, and it's not my area of specialty. It's just that parents I've seen 3 of them, right, that I had helped before. And one of the things I discover with them is that they are nutritionally deficient. And I didn't read it anywhere. I just in looking at autism itself, I recognize there's a deficiency. The body functions from certain nutrients, and there's 3 that came to my mind, and I worked with them, and it was beautiful. You'd be amazed to see the transformation. I don't say it get rid of the autism, but it get them into a more pliable position. It was magnesium. I didn't even, the first person who asked me, I didn't even know what dosage to give. I just have to just guess, right? And magnesium was one of the main things that I worked with. Vitamin D3. Vitamin D3 was another one. And zinc. Those 3 had worked, and it helped to calm them down nicely, that they were able to relate. So let's look back into that part instead of just the band-aid part of the eating. All right, so maybe you could suggest it to them. They could discuss it with their doctors. Doctors aren't really into nutrition, but you don't really have anything to lose because it's just nutrients. It's just deficiencies and minerals, So you could suggest that, and maybe it can help, because those that I've worked with, it was 3 of them, but I've seen the marked difference that it made in those children's life. So just saying. All right. Sister Delrose?
Okay, morning. I'm just looking back on the chewing of the food properly. I remember when I used to eat, and I was used to eat very slow. I still do that anyway. That's for me from ever since. And I remember I used to laugh at when I eat like that, because before I know I'm learning what I'm learning now, but I used to laugh at, and it brings so much shame on me sometimes, especially when I eat around people, even at church, laughed at and so on. And I used to don't want to eat it from no one, because everyone, even though I get my meal before, I will still be the last one to be finished. And I remember I just laughed at, and I said, I'm not going to eat. And I remember when I went somewhere once to have, at a restaurant, to have a lunch, and I went with this person, and I was left in the restaurant, and where I went, I didn't know where I went, the place like that. And the person eat before me, eat and leave and take the bus, because we used to take the bus that time, and leave me. And I don't know where I was. Anyway, I said, well, I have to pray and ask the Lord to help me. And he helped me, and I find my way back home. And when I catch up on the person in another town, and she were laughing, because it was a lady, and she was laughing and telling others that I'm just eating so slow, and I'm eating like I'm dainty and a lot of stuff. And and I said, wow, and she leave me. And when I'm learning these things now, I say, whoa, I was doing the right thing. And even learning now how to combine food together and how to have them in a different way. Even I was telling a sister the other day, a church sister, and when I stopped eating the way that I used to. And she said, well, you're not eating this. And she said, just as you say, we are saying that we are eating these things for a long time, long ago, from my mother and my grandmother and whatever, and nothing, you know. So I say, I'm just learning it now. I used to do it, but I'm learning now. I'm learning. So that's why I'm doing, because I let you know why I'm stopping doing it like that, because I'm learning, and and I try to explain and tell her where I'm learning it and so on. So they hiss the teeth and say, oh, so I'm so happy for this. And if we don't interested to learn, then we're going to be in the way that we are, if we don't interested to learn. And even eating too, when we eat too fast, what I learned, because I'm around people and see other people, when we eat too fast, it bring on a tiredness, because I've seen people want to sleep. As they finish eat, they want to sleep. So I am thinking that the fast eating, I don't know, I'm saying that the fast eating, because the food don't go down in a proper way, as you finish, you just want to sleep. And I see that a lot around me. Even when we are at church, people just, as they finish it, because they don't go so fast, they're just gone off in sleeping, So I'm just happy for this program. Thank God I didn't know it like that, but I realized that I was doing the right thing. So I don't feel any way now when they're laughing at me.
Yeah. But something, there's a question that keep being asked, I recognize. How long should we sit and eat? There is no, I cannot say, because it's going to be based on your meals. And it's also going to be based on the kind. So it's going to be the quantity of your meal and the kind of things that's on your plate will determine that. One thing I can say, and get this right. If you can get this right, everything else will fall into place. Okay? Chew your food. Well, it's not, that's not how the science says, but let me say it this way, because I think you can understand. Chew your food until you don't feel any grain left in it. Chew your food until everything becomes liquid. That's the easiest way that I can put it. That way, the food would be what you call masticated, which is just a big word to say all the saliva will get into the food, and it will get the enzymes that are in there. All right, we have the amylase and we have the phytase, and there are so many other there are so many kind of enzymes that God has blessed us with in there. So, but when you chew it long enough, then everybody will get touched and will break down the carbohydrates that's in there. All right, so that when it goes to the stomach work can continue. So that's the only way I can answer how long should you do it. When another thing, please do not hold your fork while you're chewing. Put it down. I'm sure you learned that in etiquette class for those who did. If you have your fork with the next mouthful on it already, all right, you are going to hurry to get that out of your mouth so that you can put in the next, or spoon for that matter. So once you fill your mouth with it, put down that spoon or fork, sit and chew that food, make sure it is liquid, swallow it, and then you take up another fork spoonful, all right, for the meal. Okay, so that's the best way that I can answer that question. All right.
Amen.
Okay, there's another hand, Brother Oliver Mullins.
Go ahead.
You can go ahead.
Good morning, everyone. I can remember a former co-worker of mine. I happened to observe him. He was eating very slowly. And I asked a question of other co-workers because I didn't know that he was eating so slowly. And they told me, yes, it's from time to time he eats like that. So they were laughing at him, and he wasn't distracted about the laughing. He just take his time and eat all along. And I don't think he was really aware of the benefits as you're telling us about now. So is it something special about that particular person in eating slowly?
There's something very special about us as children of God. He somewhere along the line, because as of today, All 100 and how much of us right here. We are going, some practicing it already, but all of us are now going to be very conscious of what we are doing as of today. So there will be something special about us, and someone else is going to be looking at you now and wondering what is wrong with you, not what is right, but what is wrong with you now. Because you are going to be so very conscious of how you are eating and know that that understanding has taken place. Then you are going to be doing things after the way of the Lord because you have learned. All right. So we will see the difference. All right. It is when persons don't understand. When they don't understand, then that trouble comes. Good morning, my lovely sister Odette. I'm so glad you're able to be here with us. All right.
There's one more hand, Dr. Lamle. That's Jackson.
All right, so let's take this last one and then we can move on some.
Yes, good morning, Dr. Lamle and the team.
Good morning.
Yes, I'm listening. I talk about eating slow. You know, from when I was going to school, I learned that you chew your food at least 32 times before you swallow. Sometimes what I used to eat very fast, not in the sense of swallowing fast, but I work my mouth fast, and I always try to count how many times I chew my food, and I find that sometimes I chew it up to 64 times before I swallow. So, you know, I don't move my mouth as fast as that now because I'm getting more older, but I still move my mouth very quickly to eat and make sure that I chew my food at least 30 or 40 or 50 times before I swallow. And I think it's masticated. Sometimes when I'm in a little rush, as they say, we should not rush, but sometimes where I am at and the work that I'm doing, I have to rush a little bit, but in all time I try to make it as masticated as best as possible to swallow.
All right. Beautiful. The 32 times, I know the question came up about that. The 32 times is just an indication because with the idea that at about 32 times everything should turn liquid. It's just like you were saying, taking water, you have to eat the proverbial 8 glasses, but it's not a set science, but you just ensure that you masticate enough so that the food is broken down. All right, let me try and read somewhere with this one. It said, after the food is broken down, your tongue pushes the food into the back of your mouth where it goes to the esophagus. This muscular tube that is connected to the stomach, here we are, so your esophagus, I'm sure you can see my cursor. So that is it, that's a tube that connects the stomach to the back of the mouth. This muscular tube that is connected to the stomach helps food travel down to the stomach. All right, I want to show you something about that. Well, let me tell you that before I go to the other slide. That is why it is very imperative that you do not drink anything when you are eating. Don't eat and drink, because the time that is going to take the food to pass through the esophagus to go down, you're going to wash it out. First, you're washing out the digestive juices that it's supposed to be in your mouth to digest the food. You're cutting down the amount of time you should be chewing. And it takes you about like a 20 minutes or there before the food will move from the esophagus to the stomach. And you are going to interrupt that time. And it's very important that it gets the time to do that. All right? So, close your mic, sis. All right, so be careful of that. No eating and drinking. The average human adult stomach owes about 8.5 cups of food. All right, The average. 8 cups of rice weighs about 3.5 pounds. All right. So when they
One
want
quick question. Can I ask a quick question?
quickly.
Just about like when you're doing soup. How
Right.
do you handle that one?
Soup must be thick. Soup is a meal by itself, and it's not eating and drinking. Make it as thick as you possibly can. All right, as a one-pot meal. Okay, don't eat the food and then drink the water, but make it a thicker. All right,
Okay.
gastric juice. Let us look into that. Gastric juice is composed mainly of pepsin, an enzyme that breaks down protein. And another thing that you'll find in there is hydrochloric acid. It also contains sodium chloride and potassium. Now, these are all necessary for the proper breakdown of the meal. Hydrochloric acid triggers the release of pepsin, and it also helps to kill the bacteria. Sometimes some of the food that we eat, only the mercies of God let it survive in our system, because we don't see how sometimes the food is prepared, and there's a lot of contamination. But God has set our body that it is resilient and can help itself to survive. Gastric acid has a pH of about 1.5 to 3.5. All right, on the pH here, but usually it's closer to 2. All right, that is it. But look what happened. Sometimes the stomach acid is too low for digestion, right? It's not filled up so that it can get to when the food comes into our system, enough is there for the breaking down of the food, the further breakdown of the food. And this can happen because our mealtime, they are too close together. We are advised that 5 or 6 hours should elapse between each meal. And the meal should not be more than 2. And if you'll, no, not more than 3. And that if you'll give it a trial, you'll find that 2 meals are better than 3. I love 2 meals. I've been on 2 meals from 2009 until now. And I cannot imagine. On a few occasions, I tried to cheat long time back in the days when I thought I could get away with it. And I had juices, I think it 2 or 3 times, and my stomach was so cramped that I said, it's not worth it. So I just get rid of that and keep to my 2 meal. And it doesn't matter what is the function that I've been. Sometimes I do presentation, I'm at a hotel. I am there with all the fanfare in front of me. You're sitting at the table and they're serving, and that's okay. And the poor servers, they don't know what to do with themselves. And they'll come and say, well, can I get you some juices? Oh, that's fine. And they over and around don't know how to treat me. All right. And I'm saying, no, I'm fine. I've already eaten. And they said, there's nothing wrong with taking some juice. Or I said, all right, give me some water, please. And I'll just sit there and just keep sipping my water. All right. But you have to learn to control appetite. He said, he that is able to control appetite is better than the one who will take over a big city. And if we can get the victory over appetite, we are in a position to get the victory over every other besetting sin. All right. So that is one of the reasons that it can happen. Or sometimes the poor combination of things, the timing might be wrong. Sometimes you don't have any time, so the body does not get the time to make the required stomach acid that is needed. All right. So low stomach is when there's inadequate acid in the stomach to digest food. Causes, let us look at some of them. See which one you're guilty of and what you can change. Drinking water too close to a meal. All right. Before you have your meal, give at least, we can go up to like 15 minutes, but to be on the safer side, I'd say to persons, give yourself half an hour. You need that water because you need to ensure that the body is well hydrated so that it can take the water to make the saliva. And it is in the saliva that the digestive juices will be. All right. So you need to say 30 minutes before your meal, stop having water. Eating and drinking at the same time. use of baking powder, baking soda, alkaline water, they're dehydrating to the body. All right. Aging. How does aging work? As we get older, it is harder for the stomach to produce its gastric juices unless you're taking care of yourself and you're active. All right. If you're active and keep your body young, even though the age is going up, you can avoid this. Adrenal fatigue. If you're on the edge, you're moving around, you have to go, you don't have the time, you're hurried, that can cause it. Alcohol can do that. And even for some of us who don't consume alcohol per se, we continue to take things that have alcohol in it. Our cold medicines, we have our fruit wines that we use for baking. We have some of the condiments, they have alcohol, things around us. So look into that one. Bacterial infection, when something is going on with the stomach and it's not functioning too well. Stress. You know, I would tell person if they are going with chronic stress, drink water. Feed on water, because you're doing yourself such a disservice to be eating a meal when the body is under chronic stress. All right. And it can also be from medication. One of the side effects can be low stomach acid. And I see that especially for those who do the hypertensive medication and diabetic medication, okay? What are the consequences? Why you don't want this to happen? Proteins cannot be properly broken down into amino acids. Food sits too long in the stomach and it putrefies. What this means, it gets rotten. It ferment in you. It's no good. It's spoiled. All right? So this will happen instead of being properly digested. All right? Food sits too long in the stomach and it putrefies instead of being properly digested. All right? Because there's not enough acid being there to digest the food. Bad breath. Why do you have bad breath? It would come because the stomach, the content of the stomach is spoiled, rotten, and it will come back. The fumes will come back and manifest itself in our breath. All right? No, I'm not saying that's the only reason persons have bad breath, you know. I'm saying that can be a contributing factor. Lack of nutrients. Lack of nutrients because the food is not properly digested. And think of ourselves. Can you imagine when we keep doing this over and over and over again, what happened? Over and over. We have been mutilating and violating and abusing our stomach. So the lack of nutrients, so you can eat, all right? We can eat, but we can still be hungry because the cells are not being nourished. And this now can lead to depression, hair loss, brittle nails. And some of us, we see our hair going out and we think that, well, it is menopause, it is this. And no, it's because maybe it's not being nourished. Depression will come when the body is also not well nourished. All right? Anemia. Okay? These are some of the consequences. Imbalances in your gut flora. Pathogenic and foodborne bacteria, usually killed by the low stomach acid, can make their way into the intestines. So here it is that your stomach, with all the hydrochloric acid that God has blessed us with, to help to kill some of the bad bacteria that is coming there. Because there's not enough stomach acid in there, the bacteria are able to pass through and get into your small intestine, and we end up in great problem. Okay? So you see, when the Lord tells us to do something, you know, I Sister White, sometime when she writes, she said, the whys and the whereof I do not know, but as it is given, so I give. You know? Just give it. It isn't just know that science, they are playing catch up. And sometimes we read something and science say, oh, you can do this. And we throw aside the prophet. We throw her aside. She told us what to do, but because you read in science book and you go to school and your teacher tell you this, you come and you say, Don't let people tell you foolishness. I learn in class that such and such, and we learn in science, and we throw away what we know to be true. They are just playing catch up. Science is not where you are from reading these little red books. Science don't catch up yet. So when you read it, and if science is saying something, one day science is going to come and say, oh, such and such. And you're going to scratch your head and say, oh, but you know, I'd read that in such and such book that we shouldn't do that. Look what is in there now and follow it. And I guarantee you, many of the things that you are suffering from, you will not have. Leaky gut and therefore create food allergies. Or you end up with leaky gut a lot of time because the particles of food were not broken down carefully because of the lack of stomach acid. These particles get in between what you have in your intestines, what we call them the villi. And the villi responsibility is to pick up the little food, the broken down one, and take it into the cells. But between them, sometimes these particles of food, they get caught and they start irritating because the body is trying to get rid. You don't belong here. You don't. So it starts agitating the system to ensure that you get rid of this thing. All right? And it will manifest itself now in allergies, acne, arthritis, whatever the body has to do, even autoimmune diseases, because of the leaky gut that's going on. All right? There are other examples of disease caused by imbalance in your gut flora. We mentioned the allergies already, acne, arthritis, headaches, autoimmune disease. Oh, just look at them. As you learn this, you see why it's not hard to treat diseases? It's not hard. Even the consultation form, one of the questions that we will ask, do you chew your food properly? Simple question. All right? Someone will say yes, someone will say no. All right? But it's a question that asks, and the answer will be based on, will help us to see where you are and what needed to be done. So some of the sickness that you have, they are not real sickness. They are just conditions that result from our violations of the laws of health. It is important that you have your set meal time, that you sit and eat properly and allow the stomach to do its work. All right? You have digestive infection, such as H. pylori, a bacteria that causes some ulcers in the stomach. Okay? Now, how is this going to happen? The digestive juices are not there. They are not there, so they can kill the pathogen that sits inside of us. Okay? Constipation, bloating. Your constipation will come because the food particles are big. They are sitting in our system. The bloatedness, the gas, the belching. With inadequate acid, food sits in the stomach and decays instead of being properly digested. All right? So they are sitting there, taking a long time. And you know, the Lord has blessed our stomach in such a way that it is sensible, very intelligent stomach. It is not in any haste to send out food when it is not in a position for the rest of the body to accept it. But it can keep it just this much and no more. So it's going to be moving it and trying desperately to see how much it can break down this food. But alas, it cannot do its work because it doesn't have the right tool to help us. All right? Low stomach acid leads to heartburn and to acid reflux. Your risk for low stomach acid is higher if you do not have enough beneficial bacteria in the intestinal tract. If you consume a lot of antacid, you're also in problem because antacid work against the body. You have this burning, the doctor gives you something to coat the stomach, and automatically it is actually hurting you. And as we get older, in the 40, 45, 50 going up, you're going to find that you have to be very careful how you're eating. And please, brethren, do not believe that age is just a number. The body goes through phases, and because of our environmental stresses and the oxidative stress that's happening in our bodies, the body is going to respond to it. And you have to do something to ensure that your body is in tip-top shape. Optimal health, dynamic health is where you're to be heading. You see, when we don't exercise, you would not know the injustice that you do to your body. If you don't take time to get deep breathing into your day, you are doing your body an injustice. And lack of water, I even know I have medical missioners who say to me, I don't like drinking water. I would have think we did water so extensively that I thought that lesson would have been learned, that your body is literally walking with about 70% water. It bathes every cell. Your system needs that lubrication of water and need water as a medium to carry out the rest of its function. So if you're not getting water, you're doing yourself an injustice. All right? I'm taking one hand. I have Sister, I think it's Sister Cooper. Yeah.
Sister Sharon's hand was up, but I'm not seeing it again. I'm just moderating this section.
All right, all right. Okay. So,
But there's a question in the chat from Claudia D. She said, for alkaline water, I was made to understand it's best for those with chronic illnesses because diseases cannot live in a body that is alkaline. Can you please elaborate or advise?
what kind of water?
Alkaline water.
Alkaline water is deadly to the human body. You alkaline the body by the way that you eat. When God gave water, he gave you water from the rain and from the springs. You don't need to be taking the alkaline water because it's not in a position, it's not in a particular setting where the body can literally use it. The body is slightly alkaline, and that is the optimal level of your body functioning. Your blood is like 7.35 on the alkaline scale. So, just slightly, right? And now you're going to be taking a water that is like 8 and 9 alkalinity in it. That's more than the body can deal with, and it will affect you. The alkaline water that's talking about that you can use, it's in your fruits and it is in your vegetables. All right? That's alkaline water. So when you take these as part of your meal, you will get it.
Thank you.
Yes.
Sharon's hand is up again.
Go ahead, Sister Sharon.
Good morning. You mentioned something about the leaky guts. I went to the doctor and the doctor told me that I have high cholesterol, which I know I did not have. And then I was sharing with a friend and she said to me, I have leaky gut. So can you be a little more elaborate on it? Because I went back, I don't know, because the things that she was telling me that I eat, I don't eat those things that cause it. And then I went back and did some blood work. And then she said my cholesterol was okay. So can you elaborate a little bit for me, please?
All right. Leaky gut is a topic by itself. So as we go along, we will be doing that one. It will take quite a while for me to get into that. But as we keep doing this, you're going to see what leaky gut is about. Okay, not in this session, but in future ones. All right, but just bear in mind the basics of leaky gut is that you have to ensure that you do the principles that we just recommend. Tune your food properly. Don't eat and drink at the same time. Ensure that you have a set meal time, and ensure that you're not doing improper food combination. All right, that's a good place to start. All right. And if it is there already and you make the correction, the other things that you have to do, ensure that you are getting some good probiotics. All right. And that will help you. And you need things like cypric elm and psyllium, those things that can soothe the stomach lining. And after a time, you'll find that you start getting better. All right. Said when the content of the stomach are not acidic enough, A little valve called the pylorus does not open, and the content of the stomach doesn't pass from the stomach into the small intestine. All right, let me see if we can show what is going on right here now. So if you look at the graph, right here is where things are happening. All right, right in the stomach, you see that part that is cut through, that is your stomach. And if you can look at it, it is one mass of muscles going on there. All right. And when you eat, in the stomach here, it's acid, as we had mentioned before, your hydrochloric acid that is going to be used to break down the food and put it in a certain amount, because it's broken down even more from where it's coming from the mouth. All right. When it has reached a certain consistency and the acidity is enough so that this can take place, then there's a little spincer right here. I hope you're seeing my cursor. If you see that little opening, and I love this part. Food don't just drop from one. It doesn't just drop from your esophagus into your stomach. It goes in stages. And the same thing, this little valve here will open, and it's so very sensitive to the food because it has a role to play. Because of the high concentration of acid that is in your stomach, it now comes down to this place where the alkaline content is different. So it's going to sense it, that this is done with it, because it will see the acid, the hydrochloric acid is there, and it will see that, and it will open and take it and just, I like to put it, wash it. You understand? Because it will now change it, carry it down to the little spinster that's right there. And right above there, you see the pyloric office right here, orifice right there. It's going to now let out the alkaline juices so that digestion can continue. So you see the injustice that's been done to our stomach when we are not taking care of how we are eating and drinking. We delay the process of digestion, and instead of helping us, the food stay in us and start going bad, start hurting the stomach wall. And we go to the bathroom, and the stench, it's not natural, it's not normal. Anytime you start smelling yourself so much, start fretting. Well, should I, let me not, no, erase that. Don't, not start fretting. Start taking action. Start taking action and doing things differently. Okay? Let me put it that way. The stomach needs to get rid of its content, so it tries moving it into the other direction, into the back where? Into the esophagus. Because the stomach can't sit there with the food. So guess what? It turns it back, since it's not going, it's not, the duodenum is not accepting it. It turns it back, and we end up what we call, quote unquote, sour stomach. Even though the stomach contents are not acidic enough, they are still acidic, and that acid burns the esophagus, producing heartburn. Oh, what an injustice, brethren. What an injustice. That's why I'm saying, if we cannot get digestion right, you can't even think. You can't worship God. You can't focus, because those things that are important for us to be in a relaxed mode has been disrupted, and mentally we become disrupted also. Very little absorption takes place in the stomach. Gastric digestion changes the food and prepares it for the action of the digestive fluids of the small intestine, where it is absorbed. Okay? The stomach takes in the food, then churns it and breaks it into tiny particles that's called chyme. This is done to mix the gastric juice with the food. Now, this is the right process of how things are supposed to be. After an hour or two, based on what you have taken in, the chyme is then released in small. I want you to remember this. Don't believe you finish eating and all of that, it come out your stomach and everything just into the other area. No, After an hour or two, it is released in small batches by tablespoons into the small intestine. This continues for about 4 hours until the stomach is empty. The digestive process is so beautiful, brethren. Many make a mistake in drinking cold water with their meals. Food should not be washed down. Taken with meals, water diminishes the flow of saliva, and the colder the water, the greater the injury to the stomach. Ice water or ice lemonade or any other cold thing that you take with the meal will arrest digestion until the system has imparted sufficient warmth to the stomach to enable it to take up its work again. All right, so this food just sitting there spoiling because there's too much liquid, the gases cannot work on them, and the body has to wait until it get warm again or until it gets rid of the excess liquid. Masticate slowly and allow the saliva to mingle with the food. What can delay the stomach from emptying in 4 hours? Eating in between meals, when the meals are too close together, when we are overeating, when there's irregularity in our meals, drinking and eating. These are some of the conditions. God is not the author of confusion. According to 1 Corinthians 14, verse 33, let all things be done decently and in order. 1 Corinthians 14, verse 40. God is a God of order. Let's go again. To everything there is a season and a time to every purpose under the sun. Ecclesiastes 3, verse 1. So when we do eat, there ought to be a time. It is done in season. It is done in order. God ordered food. He makes food and he educates us how to eat it. He gave us fruits to be our cleansers, packed with antioxidant and clean our system nicely. And then he gave us the vegetables, which they are our builders. They are there so that they will rebuild our system, all right? And make us more sturdy and worthwhile, okay? You cannot build and break at the same time. One has to take precedent. And I think it is better you clean out everything first and then rebuild or build up. But both cannot be done. That's why we are advised, don't combine fruits and vegetables. And guess what? You know who feels it most? Those who have feeble stomach. When they mix these things together, immediately the effect is there. But for other persons, say, I've been doing it a long time. I have to have my cucumber and cabbage and what they have, and sweet pepper. And I've been doing this and nothing happened to me. Because judgment is not executed speedily, man continue to violate. All right? Do you want to strengthen your mind? This is where we go now into health is spiritual. The mind does not wear out nor break down so often on account of diligent employment and hard work as an account of eating improper food at improper times and of careless inattention to the laws of health. Diligent study is not the principal cause of the breakdown of the mental powers. God give you enough brain cells you could study until, all right? That's not the cause. What's going on with us is that we are not temperate. We are not doing the things as God expected. After food sits in the stomach, the food now which is now chime, because remember it moved from the mouth and it has come down into the stomach. It moves into the small intestine. As food travels into the small intestine, the liver and the pancreas break down the chime with the enzyme they have made. All right, so as it breaks it down now, and they are now using the enzyme, the juices that they have, the chemicals that are available to them, they are now working. And I must, should I say, comment the liver. Brethren, you have a workhorse in your body that is called the liver. That wonderful machinery does over 400 functions in the human body. And at any given time, even without you doing anything than just sitting, it is working, or it is doing over 200 functions. And a lot of times we abuse the liver, very abusive to the liver. No, when the liver is like your warehouse. It's your warehouse. When all the enzymes or chemicals or anything that we put inside, when it gets into your body, all right, and to be distributed to the rest of the system, it is the liver that takes it up. And from the liver, it will slowly disseminate it into the body. All right, sending it where it should go. And sometimes it has to hold on to the toxins. Sometimes it becomes so overburdened that it has to send to the kidney. Kidney, can you please take some of this from me? They have a very loving relationship, and the kidney will help. Yet, the liver was not made as a storage bin, neither should the kidney be used for storage, but in just an effort to help you. Sometimes they spill over because there's so much poison. The food we eat, they have a lot of coloring, a lot of condiments we use, a lot of toxins in these things. The things we eat and the things we use, they are coming inside, and the liver come under pressure. And we don't even bother think about him. We just leave him right there, and he's crying out for help. It's so easy to detoxify the liver, and we need to do that sometimes. So let me pause quickly, take Sister Diana, and move on.
Morning, Dr. Lamle.
Morning.
You just spoke about physical labor. It does not tax the brain as much as eating incorrectly, wrong amount of food, inconsistency with time that we eat. Can you just elaborate a little more on that, why our brains are so deficient because of how we eat, when we eat, what we eat?
All right. So you are literally made from what you eat. Simple put. All right. And the brain needs its food like the rest of the system. All right. God has blessed us with so many trillions of brain cells that you can never outdo it. As a matter of fact, it is said that if you should take all the encyclopedia that has ever been written, your brain can hold it, and it's just using a fraction of it. So it cannot be because you overstudy. Overstudying is sin, it says. It cannot be because they are studying. It cannot be because they have a lot of work mentally to do. It is because you have created an imbalance in how you do it. The physical labor also, it will not hurt you. Overindulgence in anything will hurt you. So when you eat, if the food is not properly done, either by the combinations or in moderation or in any other form, and if it is poisonous to the system, that is what go to your brain. And once that goes, it befogs the brain, and you cannot think mentally. You become very inadequate because the brain was not nourished. And remember, the brain going to feed into the mind, because the mind cannot operate of itself. The mind, which is the seat of consciousness of God, is going to be fed from what you are putting in there. Sometimes we think that if we feed on the word of God, we are fine. The physical cannot touch it, but there's an intimate relation, and you do that in Ministry of Healing. You will come on it again when you do constant diet and food. You'll find it in constant health, right? There's an intimate relation between the physical and the spiritual aspect of our lives. So any intemperance, Sister Diana, is going to work back out in your mind. Any intemperance that you have, it is going to work back itself in your reaction, which is mental, which is your mind, how you think. As a matter of fact, let's look at something like sugar. Let's take the simplest one. Sugar befogs the brain. And where is it played out? In your mind. You can't think, you can't reason. You can't act as you should. You can't make correct decision. The same with coffee. All right. So the mind, which is also within the brain, is affected by the things that you are putting inside of your system. Make sense?
Yes, Doc. I just want to add too that it also seeps out into your disposition, the way you talk to people, the way you respond, you're easily agitated, you're short-tempered, you're impatient. All of that is because,
Yeah.
right.
Okay, beautiful. So and that is a played out of what you have done to the frontal lobe, because what you have done now, you have kind of closed down the part that God speaks to us, which is your frontal lobe, and now what is taking part, the part that responds to emotions, all right, the part that responds to appetite, which is your limbic system. So it now become your master. Remember, your limbic system is a poor master, right, but a good servant. And where should have been your master, you have now shut it down. Okay? Brother Joseph, good morning to you. Welcome.
Good morning to you. A very enlightening discourse here. But I'd like to approach the matter of alkalinity. And if we consider, for example, several foods are very high in alkalinity. For example, some charts show that raw spinach is about a 10 on the pH scale. Brussels sprouts, cauliflower, these things are extremely high. 10, they're rated as 10. Then there are other things, olive oil unsaturated 9. And this is very high alkalinity, as we know, other foods. So there are certain substances that God created, which is even higher than the 9.5 alkaline water that is consumed. So that alkalinity of that high level is not toxic. But if we drink alkaline water close to the period of digestion, then of course it would neutralize the hydrochloric acid in the stomach and therefore upset digestion. So I see the need for a balanced presentation on alkaline water and things of that nature. When God himself provides things that are higher than the 9.5 scale of alkaline water. So what I'm seeing there is that it is necessary to be careful when alkaline water is ingested, is taken into the digestive tract, rather than to claim that it is not to be used at all, because God has things which are higher in scale than the alkaline water that is generally available through those machines.
Okay, so if you remember what I said in the presentation, God has provided the alkalinity in our foods. This is what God has given us in the food, and therefore we should be using the food to get it, all right? And not so much dependent on someone going through a machine and making it. It is not natural. It's not natural, and things that are not natural, they're harder for the body to deal with. I remember I did a family in Barbados. There was a missionary there. He was working with a group of persons, with a family. And he could not understand why they were sick, because they were basically following the health message. And he was working it out and he could not. So he called me to ask if I could intervene. And in looking at them, talking with them, you go through the things, you cannot find what's wrong. What's wrong? These are persons who accept the health message and they were following the thing. And I told him, let me go back and look and see what I have to pray. I said, Father, where should I look? Because based on what I'm seeing, they should be okay. Why is it that they have this sickness going on? And it's like one man, I called the brother and I said, listen, what water do they drink? Because they were having the right amount of water and all that. So I asked him, what water do they drink? He said, let me find out. He called the man and asked, and he said that he's having Congent, I think that was the name of the machine, water they were having. And he has the system. I said, but that your daughter, the daughter is still having that problem. The daughter and the son, they are having that problem and they are away at school. So that can't be the problem because they are not there. He said, no. What they do, they supply them. They take the water to them. So they have the 5-gallon water and he will take the water to them. So that's the water that they use. And I said to him, can you do me a favor, please? Stop using that water. Go back to your regular purified water. Get some activated charcoal. Cleanse your system. All right? Start using that. I tell you something. I kid you not. It took them about a week. All the weaknesses and the drowsiness that was going on, that stopped. Within 6 weeks, that hair, their hair was almost bald because that's all the water they feed on. They were able to grow back their hair. The daughter started excelling in school and all of that. And it caused me to go back now and look what with these things, that which God has provided naturally. You will find that it will work. It's like most fruits have distilled water. All right? God puts it there and it will nourish the body. But when man go outside and make the things, it's going to affect you because you're putting something in the system that is not guarded by other things inside of it. So when you take a cauliflower, you take a spinach and all of that, I don't even know how much pH in it right now because I never look, so I just accept that. But when you look, there are other things that will temper that which God has given us. And therefore, the body can work with it. But when man has done something to make it into what God intended, then you're going to end up in trouble. And it's not from then that gentleman went around and he saw, I didn't speak to him again, but the missionary said that he went to see what was happening with other persons and he recognized they were having problems. Sometimes they don't associate it with that. All right. But they find out that this was what was going on. So it would have been like the same thing with a grain. God gave man whole grain. And when you take the whole grain, then you are well blessed. But when a man come now and put the grain apart, you have the endosperm, you have the germ, and you have the bran. Pull that apart and gives it to you. You're going to find that even if you try to put it together, you cannot do it in the way that God intended it to be. And it's going to hurt you more than it heals you. That's one case. Another one is herbs. When God give us herbs, do you recognize? I've not yet seen, and I do it from a scientific perspective, there is no herb that God has blessed you with that does not have vitamins and minerals. So the medicinal property is there, but he combines it with vitamins and minerals. So when you take a herb, it is so much different from where the pharmaceutical industry pulled it apart, give you the medicinal property, and then put some other things with it so that you can have it. All right? Because that medicine needs something else to guide it in your system, and that's how God has made it. So take any herb you want to and just break it down, and you will see that they always have vitamins and minerals with it. That's how God made herb. So my thing is, what God has given it in its natural state, use it. You will find that healing takes place rather than when man give it to us, because man cannot give us in a way, all right, that is intended for the optimal use of the body. All right. Thank you.
Might I say just a little more on that, just a few more seconds? I know one of the classic experimentation that happened was with beta carotene. It was known to be a cancer-fighting agent. But then when people isolated it and gave pure beta-carotene, they found that it caused cancer rather than when used synergistically in the carrot, in the things that God provided. So absolutely what you're saying there, when things are isolated away from the way that God used it, that's the reason God told us, Ellen, we should use things as close to their natural states as possible. But one of my impressions concerning alkaline water is that many times, whenever it is used during the process of digestion, when there is food in the stomach, it will clearly be toxic because it neutralizes the acid content of the stomach and things of that nature. But if it is used outside of the time when digestion occurs, when it does not affect the hydrochloric acid in the stomach, there are indications that it could be beneficial. It's just a suggestion. So these cautions need to be observed and need to be explored. So just an observation that we need to understand whenever it is used, when there is food in the stomach, absolutely wrong. But if the digestion has been completed, and alkaline or water or high alkaline substances are used, it might not. I don't think there is conclusive evidence that it is harmful in cases like that. Just an observation that I'd like to mention.
Not a problem. In my observation, it did hurt, and I look at the two water that the Lord promised us, the rainwater and the spring water, and you'll find that they are not as alkaline as the one that is given by man. All right. So it is something one of the subject that we will be looking at also as we explore that will be water. So this topic will come back again. All right. But what we do, try to get as near to nature as we possibly can, what it is that God has given to man. So we will get back into that topic. Thank you. All right. So it says that the liver, we were talking about the liver, and I did say that the liver is one of those organs that need a little attention. We need to give it a little attention. Sometimes we have to stop. You see, like today, please don't miss the fasting service, because this is one way of giving your liver a time to be reset. Let me put it like that. It's a good detoxifying time, because you're fasting, you're leaving food alone, and the body is getting its time to clear out itself. It's like if you have your house and persons keep walking in there, even if you want to try and clean it, it cannot happen because persons are moving in it. All right. So this is one good example. The liver, as I always say, the liver love anything that is. Please type it in the chat, because everybody here is supposed to know that. I have said it so many times. The liver makes an enzyme that's called bile. Bile is used, I'm not telling you the answer, I want to see it. Bile is used to break down fats. All right. The pancreas makes enzyme that breaks down starches, proteins, and fat. So here it is. Remember, the food move out of the stomach and it head into the duodenum, going down into the small intestine. And what is going on? The fat that is in the food is being broken down further. The carbohydrate is being broken down, and the starches. A lot of work is going on, and your body parts are involved in it. It takes a lot of energy for this to be happening. All right, breaking down nicely. All right, so here I go to my lovely liver. I love the liver. I love my liver. And sometimes give it a little massage. Virgin, just love him up a little and give him a little bitters. And oh, I tell the answer. Let me see if someone had gotten it right. Oh, I kind of spilled the bean. All right.
Bitter and sour.
Bitter and sour. All right. Yes, that is beautiful. Thank you. All right. The liver loves anything that is bitter and sour. sour. Beautiful. They are my students. Wonderful. Thank you so much. Don't write bitter, bitter alone. Put bitter and sour. This is God's design, and that's why it gives you things like dandelion. All right, give you dandelion and milk thistle and cerci and neem and those kind of things. And if your blood sugar is too high, you use these things. It helps to bring it down, all of that. Okay, so let me look at little and our liver. Good digestion is essential to a healthy liver. It keeps your liver from being overloaded. Okay, this is good digestion we're talking about. Combine your food properly. Poorly combined foods create toxins in your body, and some of these toxins are byproducts of fermentation. This is sugar, all right? Yeast and other pathogens used as a food source. So some of these things that cause fermentation, you are literally causing toxin to build up in your system. All right, I won't get into that one. So the question is asked, student, what two hormones does the pancreas produce to regulate the amount of sugar in the blood? All right, our pancreas, one of the first thing that comes to your mind when you think of your pancreas is what? Your insulin. All right, insulin is on the top of your tongue when we talk about the pancreas, but you also have your glucagon, right? It is there also, and some call it glucagon, depends on who you're talking to. All right, and your glucagon raises the concentration of glucose in the bloodstream. Its effect is opposite that of the insulin, which lowers the concentration of glucose. So which one you think is better? All right. Where does this is your quiz time, this is a question that is asked. Where does the major part of your digestive process takes place? Answer, someone, bright answer. Where does
the mouth?
Mouth? Yes, any other answer?
The small intestine.
Yes, so we are at the small intestine. So the answer there, in the small intestine. Because what happened is the breaking down takes place in your mouth, but after the mouth, then you go to stomach, where most of the breaking down take place. It passes in your duodenum, where another part takes place, and it goes into your small intestine. So when it moves into this area, it's about 21 to 22 feet long in an average adult. Anybody remember what I said? The complete digestive system, how long is it? From mouth to end? Anybody remember how long we said that it was? How many feet? Anybody?
30.
Beautiful.
30.
You got an A. 30 feet long. And look where most of it lies. You have to take care of yourself, brethren. Honestly, we have to take care of ourselves. It is our duty to our God. The Lord give us 21 to 24 long tube sitting down there, so that what you have done before, it can be absorbed here. And when it is absorbed there, it is taking care of you. If you don't take care of yourself by what you're putting, when you put a plate, I have done this for many years. I literally ask myself, how will this glorify God? Before I put anything in my mouth, I want to know, how will this glorify God? I remember Julie another morning told you guys that I will not eat anything that's not beautiful. That's me. I do. When Brother Tesman carry a mango, come give me, he said, Doc, I carry a Romans 12 mango for you. Romans 12 verse 1. He said, Doc, I carry a Romans 12 verse 1 mango for you. When the things, if they're not beautiful and good for food, leave them alone. If they have spots and spoiling, don't cut off the spoiled part and just put it in your body. You're poisoning your system. If the thing is a wrong combination, don't say, well, I'm hungry, I'm just going to eat it. Sometimes you can just leave it alone, and the Lord himself will even to give you a piece of bread. But love your body so much. Think of it as God's creation, that he has set it. that you are fearfully and yet you are wonderfully made. And if you take the time to take care of yourself, that you are going to reap the reward in health and prosperity and favorable relationship with God. There are little finger-like shaped linings on the wall of the small intestine, and they're called the villi. Now, villi is like a baby on a mother and that is being fed by the mother. The villi, and it just absorbs the nutrients. Over 5 million of them just sitting there, and they are taking in this nourishment that came. So it is passing. I don't remember if I put in a slide. Oh, I should have had a picture. But they said like a cone, and the food is passing along in the bloodstream, and they're just opening them, and they're just taking it in, and they're drinking up like a hungry baby. And they're just taking it in, ready to nourish and to build and to sustain you. This is a life that God has given to his children. And you cannot eat and don't praise God for what he has put in place. The food material which passes through the intestine may be regarded as the soil out of which the body grows. The villi are the rootlets which suck up the nourishment by which the body is developed and maintained. The large intestine now, so when all of that is done, there's something that is left. The chyme is then passed to the large intestine, which is also known as the colon. We tend to call the large intestine colon, but the colon is actually the whole length. This is a short part. This is only 4 to 6 feet in length and 2 inches in diameter, wider by far than the small intestine. The 3 parts of the colon, we have the ascending colon. I'll show you a picture. The transverse, which is the straight part, and then you have the descending. So it is going up, plateaued, and then go down. Okay, 3 parts. I'll find your picture. When whatever remains of the food, once it was not digested, all right, once it has been through the process of mixing, conversion, and absorption that goes through the stomach to the small intestine, it is now passed the undigested part into your large intestine. Any remaining nutrients are removed, and the result is what is called feces. Okay? The colon disposes the unusable food remnants and the excretory waste matters which enter the colon from the blood. All right, so the colon's job is to ensure that this waste does not stain you. Feces is the unwanted leftovers from the body combined with cellulose, that is refuge or roughage, from the undigested food. So that's come like from your vegetables and your old grains, all right? Anything that the fibrous part that cannot be digested, insoluble fibers we call them, okay? And it contains also dead blood cells, some of the bacteria that were killed along the way, the fatty acids that the body trying not to store inside of you, and also mucus. All right, so you see that is a whole combination of things. This used to help the feces through the large intestine. The feces contains billions of bacteria, and that is why the Lord said with the children of Israel said, go far away, dig a hole, do your thing there and cover it properly. All right, you must wash and be cleansed because bacteria, and not all of them are dead. There are live bacteria that will be excreted from the system. Regular bowel movement prevents toxin from accumulating and recirculating in the bloodstream. Constipation can also increase your risk of hemorrhoids or fecal impaction, in which your stool must be removed manually. Don't be comfortable if you are not using the bathroom every day. You must be excreting, unless you have some reason. Say you're on fasting for 3 days and you don't accumulate anything, or you have like maybe there was an enema based on a procedure and there's nothing to get out or something. But in the normal course of things, as long as you are eating, you must be excreting. If you are eating, you must be excreting. Oh, that's a good rhyming right there. You are eating, you must be excreting. Waste must leave the body. It must not stay. It must not accumulate, and it must not be allowed to recirculate, because now it becomes very poisonous to our bloodstream. Improving bowel movement, what can you do? Squeeze the juice of 1 lemon in a cup of warm water. The citric acid in the lemon juice acts as a stimulant for your digestive system and can also help flush out the toxins and undigested material that may have built up along the walls of the colon. All right, so that is one way, your lemon juice with your warm water in the morning. If you can't take lemon juice or you don't have it, just go with your warm water. It does wonders. You can also use 1 tablespoon of olive oil, 1 teaspoon of lemon juice. You can use that to help to get your system regular in the morning. And it works best on empty stomach. You can use 2 tablespoons of olive oil, 2 to 4 cups of warm water. And you can use that. Ingest olive oil followed by the warm water. You know, it won't mix, okay? You can also use your fiber-rich food. The body doesn't digest the insoluble fibers. It acts like a sponge and draws water from its surrounding, making it swell, which softens your stool and add bulk to it, which in turn helps it to pass from the system. Beans, apricots, whole grain bread, berries, broccoli, plums, pears, apple, nuts, potatoes. These are very helpful. Okay, another thing that you can do to help yourself, 2 tablespoons of freshly grounded flaxseed. You can put that with your meals. You can mix it in a little water and have it. All right. Get checked for let me say regularity in eating is also crucial. Get checked for hypothyroidism, especially if you're a woman over 40. Constipation is one of the hidden symptoms of this condition. All right, drink plenty of water. Water adds fluid to the colon and bulk to stools, making bowel movements softer and easier to pass. Because the colon needs water to do its job, dehydration can be a major cause of constipation. Try squatting, or you can get what we call a potty squatter. All right. When you sit on the toilet, don't have your foot just hanging down like that and setting your body in an L shape. All right. I'm going to get the video. I should have had the pictures to show you what they look like. You squat. So the Africans, they do not just sit on a toilet and go like that. They put themselves in a squatting position. So your body is more in a V instead of an L. An L-shaped body produce an ill-shaped colon. All right. So it cannot readily empty itself as it should. Put your feet on a child's stepping stool when sitting on the toilet to raise your knees higher than your hips, and you have the squatting platform that fits. That is a squatting platform that fits around your toilet. All right. Regularity, the timing of your of when you go to the bathroom will regulate your bowel movements as well. Set aside about 15 minutes, anywhere from 1 to 3 times a day, and take your time, even if nothing happens. What you're doing, you're developing a habit, and the body will respond. Eventually, your body just catch on and realize you are telling it something. Don't ignore the urge to go. Don't hold on to your waist because you have a certain amount of work that you want to do. The longer you hold on to it, the more water is absorbed from the stool and the harder it becomes. Your body also only sends the signal to have a bowel movement for a certain amount of time. If you consistently ignore the urge to go, eventually you will stop feeling the urge. Okay. One of the things that we use, especially when persons are clogged and have sickness going on, is to use the extra virgin cold pressed castor oil with the lemon juice for which we have very good result and make it easier for other things to work in this system. All right, and this has to be done when you have no place going. All right. 1 tablespoon of psyllium husk powder, half cup of water, shake well and drink before it gets thick. You can do that like 2 or 3 times a day. You can use a senna capsule. You can take 2 to 4. We have 2 there, but it can be 2 to 4 based on what is happening with you. The diseased stomach will find relief by exercise. Brethren, exercise, please. And you don't have to do anything strenuous, just walk. It is important for digestion and a healthy condition to the mind and body. 1 hour of walking each day. This helps to stimulate your circulation and intestinal function, causing your bowel to move freely. Okay? Morning exercise is also very helpful. I'm trying to finish this quickly. Your stomach, liver, lungs, and brain are suffering from the want of deep, full inspiration of air. The best food for the body is fresh air. It loves this nutrient more than any other thing that you could ever do. Because what happened with it, it used to invigorate every organ that is in our system. All right? Choose to stay happy. Do you know that sadness deadens the circulation of the blood vessels and the nerves? And it also retards the action of your liver? Yeah, try not to dwell on the bad things. Try not to be angry. Try not to get upset and be irritated. Try not to remember all the evils that someone has done you. Try not to look at your life, woe is me, for I'm undone. My life is not working out. Move away from that and live in a praise mode. A cheerful heart, it's really very good medicine. When you hold on to unhappiness, you're holding on to the lower aspect of your digestive process, which is the colon. You're holding on to that which should be expelled from the body. Sadness does not belong to God. You need to expel it and take on the liveliness of life that God has blessed us with. It hinders the process of digestion and of nutrients and has a tendency to drop the marrow of the whole system. So look at what Romans 15 verse 4 and 13 said. Whatsoever things were written aforetime were written for our learning, that we through patience and comfort of the scriptures might have hope. Trust in God, brethren, because what he wants is now the God of hope fill you with what? All joy and peace in believing, that you may abound in hope through the power of the Holy Ghost. God has make us to enjoy life. And even though the enemy walk in, we are children of God, and we can get from life what God has given to us. In Deuteronomy 30, I love this verse so very much. See, I have set before you this day, today, life and good and death and evil. In that I command thee this day to love the Lord thy God, to walk in his ways and to keep his judgment, keep his commandment and his statutes and his judgment, that thou mayest live and multiply, and the Lord thy God shall bless thee in the land whither thou goest to possess it. But if thine heart turn away, so that thou wilt not hear, but shall be drawn away and worship other gods, hopefully not let's not worship the God of our stomach and serve our body. He said, I denounce unto you this day that ye shall surely perish if we don't take heed to what we learn, and that ye shall not prolong your days upon the land, whither thou passest over Jordan to go to possess. I call heaven and I call earth this day to record this day against you, that I have set before your life and death, blessing and cursing. Therefore, look at what God said to us. He didn't leave us with that alone, brethren. He said, look what he said. Choose life. Choose the good thing. Choose to do what you have learned today, that both you and your children and those around you may live. May God bless you in Jesus' name. Thank you. Let us pray. Our loving Father in heaven, I give you praise and thanks that you love us, that you create this wonderful machinery. What a great God you are. Human being cannot even begin to fathom the depth of the intricacies that goes into the creation of the human system. But I thank you that you have given us enough information. You have given us enough that if we are willing and obedient, we can follow and we can enjoy the best of this life. So we just praise you this morning and we thank you. I pray a blessing on everyone that has listened, that we will determine to choose life. The information might not be what we have learned before, what we are comfortable with, but we are determined to choose life and to come to you. And the blessings that you have in store, we can amass this and be a blessing to those around us. Let your will be done in our lives, we pray.